All right, everybody. We're going to be talking more about egoism today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Ayn Rand's The Virtue of Selfishness, where she argues that selfishness is a virtue, hence the title. I have the reading there for you in the link, so check it out. It's a little long. You don't have to read all of it. There are going to be some main points that I hit on here, but the entirety of it is not necessary for you to understand the concepts that we've been talking about. However, if you do want to read all of it, it's good. I mean, that'll help you have a greater understanding of her argument. What we're going to touch on here is Ayn Rand's initial argument. She's going to make a descriptive claim, and then her follow-up evaluative claims. She makes a lot of evaluative claims, but she makes some basic descriptive claims. And we've seen these claims before, these descriptive claims. The idea that humans are selfish, right? Now, she's going to make this argument a little bit differently. She's not going to say that, humans are just selfish and you need to get over that. That's just the way things are. No, she's going to define things a little bit more academically, I guess. So Ayn Rand's going to use some of the language that we've kind of been using in this class. She talks about moral values, and she kind of asks the question, how do we get our moral values, right? How do we acquire them? That is to say, what makes a moral value valuable, right? How do we determine if a moral value is valuable? And she thinks that ultimately there is one value that underlies all other moral values. And that value is quote unquote life. She says life is the moral value that is the goal of all other moral values. But one of the things that you'll notice is she's making this descriptive claim that life is the ultimate moral value. It is the thing that all of our other moral values are aimed at achieving or affecting or bettering. She also makes the argument that life should be the way that we determine what moral values are worthwhile, what moral values are actually valuable. And for Ayn Rand, she claims this is an objective way. This is a non-subjective, non-feelings-based way of determining moral values. Ayn Rand claims that this is a rational way of determining moral values. In fact, she claims it is the only rational way of determining moral values is by seeing if the moral values lend to the ultimate moral value, which is life. Ayn Rand argues that any organism's essential values are its own survival, that an organism can measure whether something is good or bad, whether something satisfies that ultimate value based on pleasure or pain. If something is pleasurable, if it makes you happy, then it's good. It's something that's good for your survival. If it's painful, if it's bad, then it's bad. It's not good for your survival. So therefore, it's something that you shouldn't do, right? And these are the basic mechanisms by which we can evaluate whether an action is good or bad, by whether it benefits us, by whether it brings us ultimately pain or pleasure, because our ultimate moral value is our own life. And the way that we can determine rationally if our own life is being valued in our actions is by if our actions bring us pleasure or pain. Now, don't get it confused. Ayn Rand isn't arguing that we should use our emotions, even though she's talking about pain and pleasure. She's not arguing that we should use our emotions to determine the best possible life for ourselves. Ayn Rand really believes that we should be rational about this. We should be choosing actions that are going to rationally maximize our own benefit. A lot of times that means, working together, following laws, cooperation, right? If we work together, if we can live in an equitable or in a peaceful society, then we're all going to more maximally benefit than if we all ran around naked in the forest, right? So while I should be valuing my own life as much as possible, that should be the guiding moral value. The way I maximize that is through rationality. Now, humans, unlike animals or plants or other organisms, we have consciousness. We have a choice in how to best uh, value our own life, right? Chickens, um, plants, squirrels, right? Other animals, they don't have as much of a choice in how they are going to survive, right? How they are going to benefit their own life the best. They have some automatic sort of responses and stuff built into them, and they do those things. Um, Obviously, plants have made more sort of automated processes than animals that move, right? They have more choice in their destination and stuff and the way that they go about life. But they're all guided by that same principle, right? They're all guided by uh, making their survival as best as possible. We get to rationally decide, we get to rationally choose how to do that. And on top of that, because of our consciousness, because of our ability to decide this, we also have other wider needs that we can take care of as well. And she comes down pretty hard on people who don't rationally maximize their own self benefit. She says that people who use their emotions to determine what's best for them are acting like animals. Yeah, I mean, they are still guided by the principles of life, but they're misguided, right? They are going the wrong direction to a certain degree. What they think is going to actually benefit their lives the most is not, it's irrational. So for Ayn Rand, she believes that we need to be rationally guided in order to maximally benefit ourselves. So Ayn Rand identifies three values and then three virtues that she thinks best rationally maximize somebody's own well-being, somebody's own life. And it's about here that I would say it's not necessary that you continue to read. She's going to talk about things like virtues and reasons for those virtues, and you can understand them right now for sure. We'll probably come back to those when we start talking about virtue ethics and the corresponding relation between sort of Ayn Rand's system here and virtue ethics. Right now, what we're really looking at is Ayn Rand is saying in order to evaluate our actions, we need to evaluate their outcome. The way that we evaluate the outcome of actions is by their benefit to ourselves. We want the most maximized benefit to ourselves from our actions. And therefore, for Ayn Rand, they need to be rationally guided. And for her, this also is the most human way of existing, right? That's why she comes down so hard on that emotional sort of way of maximizing life, is because she finds that's animalistic. She thinks that our rationality is the primary tool with which we have in order to benefit ourselves. And so that we need to be using that to do that. We should be using that. One of the problems we might see here is that she has a lot of descriptive and evaluative claims kind of just really pouring over each other, right? She says that because we are rational and because life is our ultimate moral value, therefore it should be as well. And that's kind of an issue. Anyway, make sure you read Ayn Rand's stuff. All right, guys, I look forward to hearing your comments.